Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome back to another edition of Sarah's View of Life, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. Well, I'd had one hell of a weekend. We had 29 degrees, 30 degrees outside there, but I had a double shed absolutely filled with stuff that I hadn't gone through in years. And my daughter-in-law came over and said, we are going to do it. And we did. 8 hours of pulling everything out and sorting through. Yet, for anybody that's ever had to do that, and especially as we get older, we've created more memories. Every time we look at something, we go down memory lane. And then we've got to decide, keep or throw it away. And that's hard sometimes. It's really, really hard because you've attached yourself, memory of that. And it takes you back to maybe happy or sad times, whatever. But it's hard to then just suddenly chuck it in the bin. And out of sight, out of mind, I suppose. But you've got to let go of things, most certainly. But also there's some things you want to just keep for keepsake, just because you've got it. It may not be around you all the time, but you've got it. And the thought of throwing it away, like my dad's smoking jacket that he used to wear when we were kids, and he died when I was 11. And I just couldn't imagine throwing that away and somebody using it as a Halloween outfit. And, just there's some things that are hard to do, aren't they? And although we do need to let go, absolutely, we have to let go. There are some things that isn't about attachment to the past as keeping certain memories alive that you want to bring forth for you because they were warm memories or good memories. I had to go through the fact that when my divorce happened, my way of life of having dinner parties, having these huge parties 2 or 3 times a year of at least 40 people a time, doing the catering and everything for it, arranging it, the whole total works. It was always stressful, but I always enjoyed it so much. And I had all the gear. I had all the beautiful dinner plates. I've got dinner plates going back to the 18th century. I've got dinner plates, one that I'm going to be selling on eBay. That's a German one. It's beautiful white porcelain with very delicate little gray and gold in it. And it's exquisite. I've got crystal going back, God knows when, early 19th century, 18th century. And it was like, no, I'm not selling them to Value Village, to a charity shop for nobody to appreciate them. Those type of things will be sold on eBay to people who understand the value of what they are and that look forward to cooking and presenting a dinner for people at the table using these beautiful plates and crystal and etc. for people who still do that lifestyle. Now, I know for many young people, and especially my kids, none of them do that. My son maybe now and again have friends over and cook a dinner. It's still fairly casual. It will not have all the bells and whistles like I had. My other daughter, she's expecting her 3rd child. So anybody comes over, it's potluck or slap on the plate, because that's her lifestyle. And I'm not going to have those kind of dinner parties anymore. My life has moved on to a different thing. I'm single, so I've got single people over and I just cook a nice dish, but it's I put out nice glasses to serve and nice plates, but I'm not doing the dinner party for 8 to 10 people anymore. So it's letting go of things and realize as you say goodbye to it, you're saying goodbye to a lifestyle that you used to have that you no longer have. And it's okay for us to kind of mourn that. It's okay for us to go, all right, I had to let go of this, in divorcing, I had to let go of that lifestyle. Many things I've had to let go of along the way. And I think it's just for people to understand, yes, it's good to let go, but at the same time to appreciate that there may be sorrow with it and just to have respect for the people that are letting go and like, ah, you don't need it anymore, Chuck. No, honor their memory, honor their attachment to it, um, honor the fact that you're throwing away history, right? So I had two massive SUVs worth of stuff that went to Valley Village, which is our charity shop around the corner. Money goes to diabetes. And I've got some more stuff here that I'm taking to a local place where all the money raised goes to the children's sports groups around the area. And then I've still got stuff to go through, but it's manageable now. I can find it. Before, everything was just piled on top of each other, and it was so hard to get to, and I couldn't reach things. And now we've really sorted through that, and really sorted out what goes where. And I can take my time and do it leisurely, and not have to have fast decisions, etc. So letting go, yeah, I let go of that lifestyle a long time ago, but obviously it was a reminder of it. I loved doing dinner parties. Since my mother loved it too, and I always followed in her footsteps. Even after Dad died, she and I would hold a dinner party, and it would be a 2 day preparation, at least, food cooking, and then the laying of the table and the beautiful plates and glasses, people sitting around the table, where it would be hours around the table, eating several courses, taking our time, drinking our coffee, or maybe moving to the living room for the coffee. And, being and socializing over food is my favorite thing, to socialize over food. Coffee and a muffin or dinner or lunch, it's my favorite pastime. Have a good conversation over a good meal. That's my fave. And so I miss those kind of dinner parties and doing that, because that's was so engaging. You had a full belly, you felt at ease, and the conversation could just flow. It was wonderful. So I have to look for that in a different way now. So, meet up with people and go for lunch, have a conversation over lunch. It's not the same thing though. There is something different about when you're catering and having people, at the table, and you've prepared for it for 2 days, and then, kind of the eating goes fairly quickly, but it's then the conversation that is the dessert in many ways. So it's not the same. You're ordering food in a noisy restaurant, you're competing with the noise, and you're having that conversation. However, I went out with a colleague last weekend, and weekend before, and we met up at 11:30 and only left the restaurant at 3. And the conversation was just going and flowing. And I love that. So now it's out in restaurants, it's not in my home. Letting go of a person that you used to be, looking at photographs of me in my 20s and my 30s, looking at me, by the Parthenon in Greece, looking at me as a 15-year-old in South Africa, looking at me as a young woman, with my dog and my sports car. And, it's as you get older, you realize each decade has been a particular lifestyle you've had, that you've moved on to the next chapter and the next chapter. But that doesn't mean there aren't certain chapters that were your favorites, or that you look back on and really, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed my 20s of freedom to travel, to go and see other countries, and taste other foods, and meet other people. Sitting on the Via Veneto, having a coffee, a blood orange, and a pastry, and watching people go by from all walks of life, and then meeting the locals. In Greece, meeting the locals, being invited into the house. In Italy, the same. And in Paris, sitting, at the Champs-Élysées, and just watching people, meeting people, perfect strangers, and getting to know them. My oldest daughter does that. That is her pastime, when she works so she can travel to meet people and have experiences. And I did that for a number of years before I met my husband and then had children. So it was all BC, before children. And then after that, came 25 years of children, raising them and their various chapters. And as a mother, it is about their chapters, their chapters up to the age of 10, their chapters from 10 to 15 to 20. And you're very much vicariously living alongside of your children, and you are in mother mode or father mode, and your life revolves around them. You can't just suddenly pack up, oh, I want to go traveling. You can't do that anymore because you've got children at home to look after. I did go home to England now and again to see my family, and I would take my youngest with me. And my oldest were old enough for my husband to manage. Question mark there. I'm not sure he managed them, but he was there monitoring them somewhat. Then I came back and they were alive. But I took the younger one with me, who is now the mother of almost three children. She's due for another one in October. And, taking her and her being spoilt by grandma and uncle, etc. It was, and then taking the kids over when they were younger and having, the English experience, driving around seeing where grandma grew, mama grew up. And then just kind of tasting England, because obviously I'm British. I was brought up this way. So then my influence is going to be British, South African, American, Canadian, Chinese, because my ex-husband's Chinese. All of that is in my culture now. But growing up, I grew up the British way, very heavily British way. And even in South Africa, a lot of it was very British along then mixed with, the South African way of life. And, I watched my mother. And when we moved to South Africa, she was 49, I was 14. And to watch her all of a sudden, not the pearls and tweeds and restriction anymore, because that's kind of the lifestyle in England. And once you became a widow, there's certain parties you're just not going to be invited to anymore because it's for couples only. Take up good works, take up bridge. That's the way it was. And to suddenly see her shed all of that and find herself and let her hair down and groove at parties. And she and I, once I got a little bit older, 19 or whatever, we'd go traveling together and have a whale of a time, And she was so beautiful and young. People used to joke, because she, my sister, excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. And she had been very, very shy in England. She was, an actress. Put her on the stage, she could do anything, but in her own life, a bit reserved. A lot of that came from the critique of my father. He was quite a critical person, and she took that on. And here she is finding herself in her own light. And a little scary for a 14 and 15-year-old to see, at the same time, very liberating, because I was trying to find myself. But I'd been so utterly shy, almost paralytically shy in England. And then suddenly in South Africa, thrown in to society where it's very much about, the braai vleis, barbecue, outside parties, outdoor living, meeting people. And I had to snap out of that shyness very, very quickly. And kind of I grew up too quickly. And part of that was because mum was discovering herself, which no resentment, she needed to do so. And part of that was being kind of left behind while she was doing it. And, in England, we'd been in boarding schools, so they had that freedom there. And kind of in a way, I was in boarding school, although I wasn't, when we got there. But to see her, just let her hair down and just enjoy life, I think for the first time in her life without the restraints of the British have to, or a husband that ridiculed her on her weight, whose own misery would pour upon her, and then her own drama. She was a dramatic, actress kind of playing out in life. And so, yes, just to see her step into life over there was wonderful. And I suppose I did the same. I divorced my husband well, I left him at, I think I was 49. And that's when I asked for the divorce, 49 for my mum, 49 for me. And then it was my journey of self-discovery, my journey of who I am and how do I fit into the world outside of this partnership. Now, he still lived in the house for 2 more years. He had a woman in his life, and sometimes he wouldn't come home. And if he did, for the first year slept on the couch, even there was another room for him to go to. Eventually, he went to that room and slept there. And then eventually I said, look, it's time. We will sell this house when the youngest is finished school, but it's time for you to move on. And he did. And my son went with him for a couple of years. and then came back. And then we sold the house and everybody kind of went their way. My daughter was old enough and she was working and she went her way. And at this point, 5.5 years after my separation from my husband, I met someone, got into a relationship, which was very good and bad for me at the same time. Very good because he soul talked to me. And that's something I was so hungry for. Somebody who would talk to me through the soul, through the heart and the spirit and the soul. And he ignited that back out in me and believed that I could do anything where I've been told for so long, by my husband, by family, by society, that I couldn't. And that I stepped into doing things that I never thought I could do. But it also then ended up with somebody kind of leeching off me, and I was drawn to kind of the narcissist, I think. Why, I don't know. Because it was a people pleaser, as a people pleaser, and always wanting to rescue people. And he was somebody that I rescued. He was ultra spiritual, but didn't really know it, didn't know how to handle it. And I set him free with that. And as he was in discovery of that, it opened mine up again, as I was very, very much entrenched to that into the first quarter of my century, and ignite it together. And we did some wonderful things together. But then we were in business together, and then our business was snatched from us. And then he started another business, and he wanted everything I did to support him. But I was on the podcasting business now, and he wanted the podcast purely to support him. And I go, no, this is something that's calling me, and I need to take this way. So 13 years later of podcasting, and now this week and last week, the 12th year of my own network, this was my journey to take, and not to serve him. And as I couldn't serve him anymore, I was dismissed. So looking at my choice in relationships, I go for people that are very, very, into very creative. I love creative people. I love people who have see no box and see no boundaries, just see, the possibilities. I love that. It excites me. People have that innovation, but I end up with people that if you're there to serve them in that growth, that's great. But if you're not, then you're dismissed. And that's been my pattern in men. I've had nobody in my life since then. So it's actually about 2011, 10, 11, that although we still live together out of financial necessity, because I went bankrupt. I lost everything, investing in the technology. Technology, nothing wrong with it. There's just wrong timing and wrong people. And they stole it and left us, in the gutter. And it was a very tumultuous time. And managed to get it, over it, and managed to make a little money out of podcasting that just kind of kept us afloat. And eventually, 2017, we were just housemates at that point. He was doing something with Microsoft. I was his muse. So everything he was doing came from what I did. And he just had the ability to put it together in a different package. And then he went and gave it to Microsoft, because he's a bit of that, self-sacrificing martyr, where instead of making money and paying people back that had invested in him, he went, oh no, I give it to you for free. Look at me, bravado. And everybody else is going, but yeah, where's the investment that we made in you? And not to be had. Anyway, I walked away from all of that and started spreading my wings and seeing where I could go. And so for many, many years, I lived with other people because I just roomed. I didn't get an apartment of my own, didn't know where I wanted to be. Tried living in Toronto, too cold. Came to Vancouver Island, British Columbia, lived in Victoria with a lovely old lady. But it then got to be a point of a lot of demand from her. And so I'd be working flat out, 8, 9 shows a week, and then Timmy's, Denny's, so white spot with her. And I wasn't living a life at all. And then my daughter, having had two children at this point, living in Nanaimo, further down the island, Mum, we're buying you a house. We want you to come and live close. Yes, you can help us out with the children, but we just want you around the corner. And they did. And I lived 12 minutes from them and 6 minutes from their work, 3 minutes from the daycare. And they're here a great deal. This house is their house as well. But it's also the first time in 43 years that I had lived on my own and love it. Nobody telling me what to do or dragging me. I can go out when I want to go out. I can eat when I want. I can do things what I want. And it's a wonderful place to be. But it's still, I still keep things around that are kind of my memories. I mean, these books are people I've interviewed or favorite books. That this section over here, you see the girl, that's one of my brother's books. I've interviewed him many times, Sam Hawksmoor. If you go to Sam Hawksmoor on my site, selfdiscoverywisdom.com, you'll see all the interviews and all his books. You can also go to samhawksmoor.com. The books over here, I'm Not Selfish, I'm Just Not Easily Manipulated, is a book I've contributed to. The other book is mine, Journey, Self-Discovery of Soul Living. That's my memoir. Dare to Live Fearlessly, chapter in that. Mission Accepted 262, that is another book I was in. And then Our Forgotten Children, which is a book I produced on the raising of our children. I also have a chapter in there. And the next book is Our Forgotten Seniors. So, and this all happened, within the last year, a year and a bit. And so I think it's like, when you let go of certain things and you allow yourself to be present, things that you would have bypassed because you were carrying the weight of the past or you were rushing to the future, they're suddenly present. They're suddenly there for you. And great, they're there. So opportunity knocks, take it. I did a guest presentation a little while ago on how to be a podcast guest. This particular time slot I'm doing right now should have been a guest. She okayed that she was going to do it on this date, sent me her information, didn't turn up. And in my etiquette, you don't just not turn up because you've forgotten. If illness or something happens, I fully understand. But it's like any meeting that you go to, if you can't make it, you let someone know. You don't just not turn up. And there's still this little thing around podcasting of, it's just a podcast. No, this is my business, right? This is my business. I put a lot of time and effort into everything. I create a blog for everybody, and then their shows, then edit it, then put them on all those platforms. And it should be respected. So you've got me in this time slot instead of them. And we will see what happens. If it was a case of just forgetting or something else, see if they even respond to the email. But in the meantime, letting go and also finding treasures. Like we found a picture of my father in the war, kind of laying on a bunker with his mustache, kind of looking up. He was a fighter pilot, squadron leader in the war. And it's actually this day that I'm doing this show. I'm doing it on the 9th of June, though it will come out next week, is actually his birthday. But he was born in 1920. So he would have been. And he would have been 105, but he died at 45. So very, very young. So, of course, anything of him I want to keep close. I have a table just out here on my deck that he made, and now the children can sit at. And yes, it's just a rustic table, but his hands made it. And so I make use out of it. I have tapestry seats that my aunt made. One seat got broken. Fine, we'd throw away the chair, the wood, but I'm going to keep the tapestry, make it a cushion, because my aunt, my favorite aunt, made that. And I think it's respect for history of what you want to bring forth, respect for what they did. And we've really got into a society now where it's like, nah, throw it away. It's broken. I'm not going to fix it. Just get a new one. And instead of honoring the time and the effort and just fixing it and treasuring it, it's too much landfill and not enough, replenishment. Now, that goes for ourselves as well. We can't throw ourselves away just because we're broken. I can't throw ourselves away because, you know, or get new parts. Though that will happen in the future by Sentinel Man, right? We'll have new parts, and already we're looking at that with different organs that can be done, 3D organs, etc. So yes, that's the world that we're going into. We're going into the world, and this is nothing. Why do we call it artificial intelligence? It's collective human intelligence. Why don't we call it that? It is an accumulation of human intelligence that has been gathered in one massive artificial brain, but it's not artificial intelligence. Everything that the AI has came from humans. So why isn't it collective human intelligence, CHI? I actually get my UI, universal intelligence. I download that. That's where I get everything there. And anything I learn here on Earth, the alignment has to come from the universe. But I don't understand why it's called, AI, when really it is an accumulation of human intelligence. So I just threw that out there. But yeah, I think it's very important for us to hold on to memories that are good, even to hold on some memories that are a little bit sad, but it's kind of honoring someone. I know that this lovely little old lady I lived with, her twin sister died. And there's virtually no pictures of her sister anyway. They just erased her from history and wasn't allowed to talk about her, nothing, no evidence. And then 4 days before her wedding, her fiance was killed in a car accident. And her family thought, okay, we're going to erase him. No pictures, nothing. And that way you'll get over it quicker, out of sight, out of mind. You don't. You don't. And it is such a dishonor to the person who's passed over to just dismiss them like that. You are meant to go through the pain of sorrow. You are meant to go through that pain of loss. You're meant to go through the pain of living without them because it makes you stronger. And carrying them with you is something that is beautiful and is something that's important for you to do. So I think this is something we need to really look at is why are we throwing people away because they're not around anymore? And instead of honoring what they meant to you and keeping them alive within, that doesn't mean we mourn them so much that we can't move forward. It's just that we mourn what we don't have anymore because that's really what it is the life you had with your loved ones and now they're gone. And whether it's a loss of death or whether it's in divorce or whether it's a career you've had, a child or anybody, it is a loss is a loss. And an animal, I still mourn my animal 9 years later. I wish she was by my side. She was the best friend you could ever have. And we need to mourn that. We need to carry their memories because otherwise their life meant nothing. And so if we have memorabilia around that reminds us of people that have gone or a lifestyle that we used to have, or just something that is warm and fuzzy, or even something that brings a little tear to your eye, it's okay. It's okay to have that. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that. And it's important that we celebrate the life that we do have now, even though they're not there or a lifestyle that we used to have isn't there anymore. We have to be present with the lifestyle we have in the moment. But it's okay to take things from the past with us. It's not to bog us down. It's there to hug us. It's there to take us down a wonderful memory. It's there to support us. Well, maybe sometimes we just need a little tear. My show last week was on, the tears uncried. Because I interviewed an empath and he is saying there are so many tears in you that are waiting to come out. And I'm not a crier, unless it's something soppy like an animal rescue or something like that. And then it's only just a few tears and I've been programmed not to, so it just stops. So one day there'll be a big cry, and who knows what will cause it. It won't be a loss of something because I don't cry at losses. It'll have to be something different and soppy. So who knows what it's going to be. But yes, now I have a shed that is clearly much easier to go in and sort things. I was sad, a few things I didn't come across that I was begging and hoping to be there. One of them is my winter boots, all of my winter boots, the ankle boots, the boot boots. And, the reason why I was upset about that is like over $1,000 worth of boots, yes, but they were boots that were hard to come by because I broke my ankle many years ago. And because of that, the ankle is thicker than the other one. Also, they set my foot wrong. So I can't slide into boots. I have to have a zipper. And it took so long to find the right boots that were comfortable. And unfortunately, they're gone. They got stolen off the truck when we were moving, which is sad. And yeah, it's irritating because now I'm going to look for new boots. But it's at the same time, it's gone. What can I do about it? Let it go, let it go. And embrace where we're at now. And where I'm at now is doing these shows and hope that my next guest turns up. I've still got more stuff to give away out there. So today I'll be taking them off to a guy around the corner that sells the stuff to give the money to all the local sports teams, children's sports teams, which is wonderful. So I'm going to go support him. So don't throw away your memories, right? Things that no longer serve you, yes. But if it's a memory, if it's a warm memory and it's not taking up space, or can you create a space for it because it's really something that really warms your heart? Keep it. This throw everything out for something new, throwing out your life's history, experiences that you have is throwing away a part, many parts of you. And it's okay to look at our longevity. What do I have over here? The little doggy is my son's dog, who's died, a deaf dog. It was his first kid. Um, the angel over there, my ex-husband gave to me, the dolphin. I love dolphins. All those crystals, so something that I collected along the way. That one crystal goes back about 60 years. The good luck jade thing. And I've got so many more knickknacks, etc. I love knickknacks because they've all got a little journey to share. I love antiques because I love feeling the history, of where they've been. And believe me, my stuff has traveled the world. And so I love that sense of history. So I think, yeah, good to let go, good to purge, but at the same time, don't throw it out just for the sake of it. If it's something that warms your heart, that's something that's meaningful, and you've got space for it, or you can create space for it, hold on to it because that's part of your story. That's part of your journey. And it's okay to have it on display or have it close by for you, right? It's okay. So, folks, another week gone by, another 12 years, I hope, in front of me of podcasting, when my podcast guests turn up, and another day and another week and another month. This coming weekend, I am going to Eucalypt near Tofino on the island, Vancouver Island. It's part of the island I've never been to. Many people come over to Tofino because of the surf. They go surfing there, big, huge, long beaches. And I'm going with my daughter and her husband and the two boys for the weekend. And it'd be nice to see that part of the island because I haven't been there yet. A few weeks ago, we went the other way and saw Courtney and Cumberland, cute little towns. And we were up in the mountain, a ski mountain there. No skiing, but just fresh air up in the mountain. So all these little trips are so nice because I'm seeing, going through the experience with my grandkids, what they're discovering and what they're doing. And it's very nice. So if you're purging and it no longer serves you and it's not meaningful anymore, then is it dump or is it off to a charity that can sell it and give somebody else a new memory? Or is it something you keep for keepsake? You, not anybody else with you, are the only one that can decide, okay? you. So until next time, folks, yes, you can let it go, let it go. Some things you hold on to because those memories from the past even propel you forward in the future. But it is good to let things go. You let go of material and you let go of attachments that are pulling you down. But it lifts you up and it warms your heart and it makes you smile. Keep it, because Lord knows we need those smiles. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.